Matt Lenihan Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store and R Kings. We've got Gareth A. Davies on live from the States. You've been over there for bare knuckle action. It's really picking up, isn't it now, bare knuckle? And I know you're heavily involved in it. What's the experience been like for you this time out before we talk boxing?
Yeah, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, BKB 39, Jack Marshman losing to Cub Hawkins for the Cruiserweight title, Hawkins maintaining his title. They're not as raucous as we are back in the UK at the bare knuckle events, but it is growing. It was a pleasure to work for the first time in broadcast with Mike Goldberg, Goldie, from UFC fame, the MMA and broadcaster here in America. That was great fun. 9 fights. Been a great week here. I'm doing some beach combing in a minute, and then get myself ready to my connecting fight to Charlotte and home Monday morning. But it's very interesting. But I watched all the timings work for me yesterday to watch everything unfold for a heavy impact in Manchester as well. Matthew, lifesaver.
Well, look, I was there in person last night. Didn't get home till the early hours, but let's just dive straight into it. I think it's important we start on David Adeleye and Jeamie TKV. From ringside, it looked like Jeamie TKV was employing an effective game plan. He'd boxed well. I noticed he'd lost quite a lot of timber in the build-up to this fight, and he was boxing a certain way, jabbing at different levels, doing really well. David, I think, was slowly getting into it, but let's talk about the crucial point in the controversy surrounding it. It appeared the referee had said break, and that's when Davies took his moment and thrown that wicked left hook. And he does carry power, David Adeleye, so you don't want to be giving him any free shots, let alone anyone in the division. But what was your take from what you could see online? 'Cause it's different from me ringside.
Well, I saw the break, definitely from referee Ron Kearney. My feeling straight away was like, whoa, this is going to end up in controversy. I get the ire afterwards of and annoyance and irritation at the way the fight ended from Ben Davison and I nearly said Barry White then. Barry White's in a whole different kind of league when he opens his mouth. The great Barry White, R.I.P. So. I do get their annoyance. Full disclosure, I think there should be it should be annulled, no contest, disqualification, call it what you want, and it should be reordered based on the fact that the referee called break twice and touched the arm of Jeamie TKV, because that immediately silences the fighter because they're obeying the referee's commands at all times, and then that hook comes in. And as you say, David carries power. Just going back on what you were saying, I thought Adeleye was taking over in the fourth round, by the way. Thought he came into his own. Very good first 3 rounds. Very subdued start from both men, but they were both easing into it. And TKV looked good in there. He wasn't being wild. And neither was Adeleye. And given the build-up, I thought we were going to get this wild affair. In fact, I made sure I had Wi-Fi here because I didn't want to miss it. Really didn't want to miss it. And it was evolving really well. Adeleye coming to his own in that third round, letting his hands go, fourth round, letting his hands go a little bit more. But in the moment, I thought Ron Kearney got it wrong. He should have disqualified. Technically, he should have disqualified David Adeleye because he'd called break and he hit him with a left hook, which changed the fight.
So I'd seen on. I think it was, I spoke to Adam Booth after the fight, and he said, I couldn't hear the referee from ringside. I was telling David, which he's going to say, and maybe he isn't, but he was saying, I just kept shouting to him, saying, don't wait for him anymore. But then I also have just seen a clip that I think he uploaded where earlier on in the fight, the referee is calling break, and Jeamie hits David, and in the minute, and he did reference in my interview with him saying, look, throughout the fight, he was getting away with the odd bit of, skullduggery, fouls, this, that, and the other. Didn't lead to the vicious knockout that it did, that side of it. But do you think this gets overturned and gets ordered for a rematch? And I remember you've just said to me, sort of before we started, you spoke to Robert Smith. What's he had to say about this?
Well, I spoke to Robert Smith this morning from here on the phone, and he said that they have a stewards meeting anyway this week. and already they're assimilating and gathering all the info. They're waiting for Ron Kearney, the referee's ringside report. The supervisor will give his report. Robert Smith wasn't there, but they're going to have they will be in the stewards meeting this week, and they'll look at all the footage and all the reports. For me, it's a no-brainer. They cannot go. It's unassailable what they have to do here. They can't make a decision based on what the referee's done and keep the verdict. They've got to order a rematch at the very least, Matt.
Yeah.
Because the evidence is there. Break twice, even though the referees denied it, according to Barry Smith, to him in a chat afterwards. It's there on TV, and there's the touch of the arm, which leaves it open. And Adelaide, whether he heard it or not, it's not within the rules to do that. So technically, he could have been disqualified. It's ended TKV's great performance. So they need to do something about it. I think they should call it a no contest ultimately, by the rules, call it a no contest.
Yeah.
And look at it retrospectively and order a rematch. Make the title vacant again and order a rematch.
I'd seen early on in the night as well, there was a similar one with Rafferty and O'Regan. Matt Macklin uploaded it, and obviously ringside, everyone says they want to be ringside, but sometimes you miss little bits from where that position is that you do on TV, which I suppose from a judge's perspective gives light to sometimes why we see some funny decisions. But the arm gets pulled down, which leaves him wide open to get.
I was going to mention it. Yeah.
And I know that wasn't the co-main or whatever, but it's still relevant. I mean, it's a dangerous game, boxing, and Rafferty's on a great run of form, and when he sees an opening like that, he's going to take it. So is the referee at fault there for that one as well? Because whether he was winning the fight or not, Regan, it still affects the whole fight and ends it there.
Yeah, and also Regan was putting up a good performance. Tricky southpaw. He was in the battle. I know he's been hit by a lot of body shots, and Rafferty's an absolute terror in there.
Yeah,
but he had held his own up to that point as well.
Yeah.
So you have to look at these things. And when the referee says obey my commands at all times, that is there for a reason, which is when he's breaking people, they shouldn't be touching, by the way, in my view. They shouldn't be touching their arms. And if they want to separate. And I also felt that when I watched it, we don't see a lot of Ron Kearney. He's become a star referee in the last, as I say, star referee, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
In the last year. We haven't seen a lot of him yet in big fights. Obviously, he's been around for 10 years. He's an old kind of a veteran in the game, as Robert Smith told me this morning. He's been around. He knows the game. I wanted him to impose himself a little more earlier on and actually really move TKV and Adelaide apart, because my feeling was they were only being separated because I was thinking, when you watch it, you're thinking, go on, let your hands go straight away because you're in close combat. Yeah. They weren't being separated by a lot.
Yeah, I think you see over the years a lot of the referees who have gone down well. I remember, Jack Reese who was doing the Fury Wild one, and all the ones from bygone year. I like to see it when they say, "I'm going to allow you to work on the inside," and I'll say work on the inside. But when I say break, like what I like about referees when they walk in between, not just go touch the hands, but then boom like that, push them apart, walk directly in between and go no break, right, and separate. So if you just sort of, I don't want to, and this isn't a criticism because I don't do it, but you see it and it's almost like a tentative little tap, and it's like it's a bit of confusion. No, assert yourself because this can change the course of someone's career.
No, listen, my thing is, I don't want to sit here and say how referees should referee. They're there for a reason. They got to that position. But, there's a way of separating. Yeah. And if someone does hit on the break, you punish them. If they finish the fight in the break, technically they should be disqualified, whether we like it or not. It happened the other day to Crocker and Donovan. I think it's the IBF have ordered a rematch. The rematch is there. Order the rematch. And it's a bigger affair afterwards. You're going to get two different narratives from the Booths of this world and the Smiths and the Davisons. You are, because they're their guys.
Of course.
And this was a big step up for Jeamie as well, by the way. A big opportunity for him. They had a game plan. I mean, I've seen some, I haven't watched it all, but I've seen some of the cussedness that Barry Smith feels, because he's the guy that works very closely with Jeamie. And they feel like an opportunity's been stolen from them here. So they need to do the right thing, the board, this week. Order the rematch, and then everybody goes, okay, we've got parity, we've got not poetic, we've got justice here, and the right thing's happening.
Absolutely. Look, let's shift to the main event. Joe Joyce and Filip Hrgovic. We think we spoke about this. I think it was yourself where often when a main event or one half falls through, it's difficult to replace things with the same narrative. Filip Hrgovic is no joke, and look, he was landing the overhand right kind of at will, I would say, throughout the fight, and ultimately he came out on top on short notice against Joe Joyce. What was your takeaway from the fight?
Good 10-round fight, very interesting. I had Hrgovic winning by 2 rounds, not as wide as a couple of the judges. I thought Joyce put in a very, very fine performance. He showed the appetite and aptitude was still there. You can take nothing away from what he did against a guy who you could rank from 6 to 8 in the world in the heavyweight rankings, who's definitely a contender. And, you know, look what Chisora, by the way, did against Joyce, and that was 12 rounds, and look what Hrgovic looked and appeared like against Joyce. Chisora belongs in the top 10 in my view. He just belongs there for that weird reason. So he's not the number one contender in one of the sanctioning bodies. I don't agree with that. It's just not right. But he belongs in that top 10. Back to your original question. Joyce made all the effort, came on strong, but was beaten to the punch, got hit far too much, got hit by Hrgovic on the counter off the ropes. It was a good performance by Hrgovic, who was dealing with that cut eye from round 2, maybe.
Yeah.
And so, but I've got to say, Matt, and I ever like saying this about fighters because it's up to them. I've said it about Derek Chisora as well. I think I'd like to see Joe hang it up. I really would like to see him hang it up, even though he'll want to go on. Because right now, after that, even it was a good performance. There's no question about it. A really good performance. He never looked beaten up. He never looked really hurt. But he got hit a lot, and that's his problem. He got hit a lot, and he got outpointed.
Yeah.
I thought Hrgovic might stop him in this fight. That's what I predicted. Points or a late 8, 9, 10 round stoppage. But for me, the problem for Joe from here is they put Moses Itauma in with him. They'll put Fabio Wardley in with him. They'll put, you know, maybe they'll put Johnny Fisher in or David Adelaide. If those guys fight, you know, he's going to be a target for young studs in the heavyweight division who want to make a name for themselves and put him on their record. He's lost 4 of his last 5, hasn't he?
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 4 of his last 5.
Yeah, I look at it and just think it's hard because it's a personal decision. But then you look at where he goes from here and who are the names he's gonna be thrown in with. I mean, I was watching it and just thought if this was AJ in with him, this could be over quite quickly. If you put even an Itauma in with him, Itauma's firing, and I look and just think I don't want to see anyone get hurt. Like hand speed
of Itauma, the hand speed of Wardley, the hand speed. I don't want to see him in with Fraser Clark or any of these guys, frankly. The trouble is Joe won't want to give it up because he'll come out of that going, I showed something there.
Yeah, I think he said, I've seen a few interviews with the people that got him last night, and I think he said, look, I feel fine, I feel okay, all these people talking, and it's difficult because you don't sometimes see the after effects of boxing until many years down the line, and yeah, it's sad, but look.
But far be it from, look, it's his life, it's his career, it's his job, as he calls it, so... You know, you have to give him that bandwidth because he feels built for this, and he is built for it. But you know, we what we don't want is to see Joe irreparably damaged from it, and that's all. It's a concern, even though it sounds like criticism. You know, and we know his mother Marvel, who's amazing, and his brother, who's fantastic, and they're great people. You know, I wish he was earning millions from his art, so that he could say, right, I'm just going to
Yeah,
establish this, and maybe he is. I don't know if he may be earning millions, but he can't stop his addiction to fighting. He's a terrific man that you can't take that away from him. If he wants to carry on, it's up to him. But our view is we don't want to see him get hurt.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah. I've got to ask you about this before we wrap up. So, yesterday we got an announcement. There's two stadium fights on one day. There's the Callum Simpson European title fight, and now we have Fabio Wardley and Jarrell Miller enters the frame. Initially, I thought we were going to see Kubrat Pulev from what the reports were saying, but Jarrell Miller, I suppose, a welcomed sort of replacement idea, which I think he's bang up for this, and it's a good step for Fabio Wardley to take. What's your thoughts on the matchup? It'd be a good event.
I've seen them next to each other last night. It was great. I'd known about it for a few weeks, and I was teasing Fabio Wardley in a bit. I think we might have spoken about it. A big event at Portman Road against a big name American, but couldn't actually reveal the name. Having known about it and hadn't broken it myself, if you want. Really like the fight. Like the idea of 35,000 at Portman Road in June. It's a great part of the world. I live not too far away from there, so I'm really looking forward to it. Press conference Monday, of course, tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's a good fight. Fabio's up for a bit of smack talk. Jarrell's kept fairly quiet so far. I think Jarrell will let the big baby Miller go tomorrow, finally, in front of everyone, and I think it'll be great fun.
I spoke to him last night as he was leaving. Give us some time, and we got onto the fight, and I said, "Look, what happens in this fight?" And he started comparing himself to like a big truck, and Fabio Wardley's a Mini Cooper, and saying going to run him clean over. And I was just like, you know what, on the microphone, and I have to say in person, he's always quite hospitable, as Jarrell Miller, and Fabio can hold his own as well. I just think it's a really good and clever matchup by the matchmakers.
Fun fight. It's what we call a fun fight, And I've known Jarrell obviously through the iniquities of Anthony Joshua and the drugs tests and all those failed drugs tests, all those things. I mean, I go back to kickboxing with him when he fought Mirko Krokop in Glory years and years ago. In Los Angeles at the Forum. I've known Jarrell probably 15 years, and he's a great character. He's brilliant for the sport. I thought he beat Andy Ruiz in Los Angeles on the Riyadh season card last year. I thought he was fairly harshly done by on that night. You know what he's going to bring. And people will be asking themselves, Fabio's a very dangerous fighter coming up through the ranks, not far away from a world title shot. This is a great stepping stone. And if he can put a mark on Jarrell and stop him, he will be talked about as a future world champion and a future world title challenger. And they'll put him in the mix with those top 5-6 at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. In other news, we've not really heard much on Anthony Joshua's future and what's potentially next for him. We're hearing a lot about Usyk and Dubois, and Joseph Parker obviously needs a fight. Could we potentially see Parker and Joshua? Do you think that's a possibility?
Definitely doable. Definitely doable as a fight. Definitely interesting. If Parker can make enough money out of it, he'd probably do it. How it sells, I don't know. I think let's see what the next stage. We've had this announced at Portman Road. We know that Jagba and Bakoli are on the May card. What we need now is what's happening with Usyk, Dubois, Parker, Kabayel. Maybe Kabayel is waiting. Kabayel and Hrgovic, I wouldn't mind seeing. By the way,
good fight.
Right, but the trouble is he's got that cut now, and that'll be a while. So that he's probably out for 5 months anyway with that now. So Joshua Parker, Joshua needs a win, and I've got a feeling that if Deontay Wilder wins against, can't remember his name right now. 27-5. It's early in the morning here. I think we might get. No, let's put his name in there. Let me just. I've got it here. I was looking at it last night, thinking. I was looking at the heavyweight division, thinking, you know what? If Wilder beats this guy, maybe
Spencer Fearon said to me he believes we see Joshua Wilder before we ever see a Joshua Fury.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I really don't, because I think it's a fight that's still got. If Wilder can show that he can knock this guy out,
He needs to show something, doesn't he, in this fight, though? That's what we need to see. We need to see a glimpse of
Herndon,
what he can do.
Tyrrell Anthony Herndon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in June. That's late June. Yeah, he needs to show that he can still pull the trigger, Matt. And if he can pull the trigger, people will start to believe he's got a chance against Anthony Joshua. Given his last two performances against Parker and Zhang, people wouldn't give him an operable chance against Anthony Joshua. If he's got a big knockout, a viral knockout from this, and he's back to looking powerful again, it's a fight you can sell. That's where I think Joshua goes next. Doesn't need to rush back into the ring, in my view. Doesn't need to change his team either, in my view.
No.
I like him with Ben Davison and Barry Smith and those guys in Harlow at the Ben Davison Performance Centre. Joseph Parker, if they can make the fight happen, there's enough money in it, great. I think Parker deserves the fight with Usyk even more than Dubois.
I just
look
want
at
to
all
see
the online polls, and people see that. You know, if not Parker against Dubois, but I don't see that happening because Usyk wants to get back in the frame. But maybe I mentioned this to you last week. Maybe they do Parker and Dubois, and they do Usyk and Chisora.
You know what? I just want to see Parker have his shot at a world title. I think the resurgence has been amazing, and he's put himself in a position. So I'd love to see it. I really would. But it's boxing. Who knows? Next week, obviously, press conference tomorrow. We then go to Jerome Boots Ennis and Stanionis, which is a brilliant fight. Number 1, number 2 for unification. Then we're rolling into some, Conor Ben Eubank fight week. The May 3rd New York fight card.
We got Cameron and
Whittaker, Dalton Smith as well.
On Easter Sunday, yeah.
Yeah.
What else have we got?
Dalton Smith's on at the same week as that as well.
Dalton Smith, yeah, absolutely. So it's a great time. And then it's tic-tac-toe. What do you choose? New York, Riyadh, or Vegas with the 3 young princes, then Canelo and Skull, which was an April Fool's from Turkey Al Sheikh, wasn't it? There was Terence Crawford stepping in.
Yeah.
And then Neuer Nui in Vegas on the Sunday. So very busy time coming up. Very busy. But looking forward to that busy week at Tottenham Hotspur with Fury. What is it? Fury of
Fatal Fury.
With the Wolves.
Yeah. That's
Ben and Eubank will be a busy week because there'll be a lot to get our teeth into.
They will. Hotels booked. Look forward to seeing you down in London. And we'll catch up before then anyway. Appreciate you jumping on.
Whenever you like, lifesaver.
Appreciate you jumping on, Gareth. Catch up soon.
Pleasure. Cheers.